Hello and welcome to today's session. Today we will have a look at food, feed, treats, goodies, and cookies, feeding tales and facts. This is podcast episode number 26. And I have already in the description some, yes, opinions. I would say opinions people have. These are just a few curious assumptions, but those ones I hear most often. For example, let your dog starve because that's what wolves do. Dry food is deadly. Never give treats during training. Don't give your dog anything from the table. Your dog should only eat after you. Don't let your dog approach the bowl until you've given him the command. Take the bowl away from your dog with food, or feed your dog only from the food bag, from the dummy bag. We will have a look at these and a few more opinions, assumptions, and I will tell you my opinion, what I think about the single assumptions. So we will have a look back at the Stone Age, of course, wolf and man. So both did not necessarily have something to eat every day. So the opinion that the dog should starve 1 or 2 days a week because it is descended from the wolf, and the wolf doesn't have something to eat every day. Um, yes and no. More no than yes. First, the man, human, should also starve because he is descended from the Neanderthals. And the Neanderthals didn't have food every day either. But we are eating 3 to 5 times a day, and we are going to the drive-in or to Starbucks or wherever. We have fridges, we have microwaves. We are always eating, and this is not very natural and not very healthy too. And we have to remember that our dogs are no more wolves. I mean, there are thousands of years of evolution between a wolf and a dog, and I still cannot say that my little pug is a wolf. Maybe there was a wolf, but this was 40,000 years ago. The little pug today is no wolf anymore. It's a dog. And it's, for example, a very small dog. We have the other situation with very large dogs. We have the problem that the stomach can turn. So, for example, if you have the question if you should feed your dog once a day or twice a day or 3 times a day, I feed my dog 3 times a day because it's easier for the stomach to digest the food. If you have a large dog and it only eats once a day, a big bowl of food, the risk that during playing or lying on the ground, the stomach can turn is in the nighttime, maybe when it's sleeping, you have this risk. And we can avoid that by feeding dogs more often during the day. But back to the wolf and the human. So the cooperation between wolves and humans arose from the shared food source. It was about hunting together and sharing the prey, just as wolves still do it in the wild today. They take care of their family members. And it's that we have this idea in our society that the human has to be dominant because the dominant alpha male animal is eating first. And this is from wolves or from animals that are captured. They have to fight for their resources, they have to fight for food. And then you have the biggest and the strongest animal who, of course, can eat first. In nature, a wolf would share food with its family, not with everybody, but with the family. It's very social. And so this idea that we domesticated wolves because we are humans, we are crown of every living being on this planet. We think that we have domesticated the wolf because we had the source, the resource food, and this is not really true. Scientists today say that maybe the wolf domesticated itself because it cooperated with the human. I mean, the wolf was not dependent to the human. The wolf could hunt on its own. It didn't need the human. Maybe the human needed the wolf more than the wolf needed the human. And so they were eating the same prey. And it made sense for both species, human and wolf, to work together, to cooperate, and to share what they have hunted. Back to nowadays. So basically, in my opinion, each dog must be considered individually. I cannot say this is good and this is bad. I always have to see every dog, every single dog, individually. What needs the dog? What is healthy for this dog? What likes the dog? And we will have a special look at shelter dogs, because shelter dogs are another topic. It makes a big difference if a dog who is grown up in a family who always had something to eat, where food never was a problem, um, has another relation to food than a dog who maybe has starved, a dog who is extremely stressed. If we use food for training or anything else, because then this stress, this fear to starve, is triggered by the food, and the shelter dog, especially stray dogs or street dogs, get in trouble with this. So next point: dry food. Dry food is not the best, but sometimes there is nothing better. In animal shelters, it is often the only option. Um, I've been in Romania several times, and I've been into the mountains, to the Carpathians, and there were the shepherds who are out there half of the year with the sheep, with the dogs, and there is nothing special food for the dogs. They don't have bags of dry food or anything. The dogs get what the humans eat, dry bread and maybe cheese, or they hunt a rabbit or anything. In the shelters, it's often that they have dry food, but they throw into the boxes. And yes, of course, the biggest and strongest dog can eat most. um, I don't think that it makes sense not to adopt a dog, because I cannot feed it raw or wet or whatever. In my eyes, I would always say adopt a dog, even if you cannot offer the best or expensive food. Of course, you have to see that, look, that the dog is healthy and vitally and happy, but food should never be the the problem why I cannot have a dog, because I can only feed dry food because it's cheaper. Yes, maybe, but you can always give him a little piece of chicken or a yogurt sometimes. So, raw feeding. No, raw feeding is natural nutrition. Wolves eat raw, dead animals. Okay, let's have a look at natural human nutrition. When the wolves eat raw meat, humans or before were eating raw meat too, and roots and leaves. Okay, it's slight exaggeration, but close to it. At least our dogs, for the last thousands of years have been fed table scraps and kitchen waste, like pigs and chicken. That was before nowadays we have all these fancy food factories who prepare special food for every dog. Dogs got what humans have eaten, and that's it. And they survived. Of course, today it's another thing because a lot of dogs have problems with allergies, but we'll have a look at this later. Now, treats and training. Okay, yes and no. My opinion, yes and no. I think as a motivation, treats can be very helpful in a training. Um, but as a mean of pressure, they should be avoided. I can build a strong bond and trust by sharing food if I have an insecure dog or maybe a shelter dog or whatever dog who has never learned to train or he's insecure and shy. But there is a danger. There is the danger that the dog only does things for food. So without food or what, the dog hardly reacts at all. Um, we have the problem, the danger of learned helplessness. The dog is easily unsettled and offers all sorts of things to get his confirmation. That was what happened to me and my first dog. He started, I teach him some tricks. And when he was insecure or not sure about what I want, or if he thought I would be upset, he started to show tricks. and I'll never forget his eyes, his look. He was so helpless, and he tried everything to get a treat or to get a reward or a reaction. I thought, okay, I immediately stopped any training with treats, and I also stopped this tricks. It didn't make sense for me at all, but that's what can happen, and it's possible that when you have a dog and you train it with treats, then without a treat, your dog will not do anything. This can also be caused because the dog is totally focused on the treat and hardly forgets to learn anything with it. So when the dog is totally focused on getting treats, um, the learning effect is zero. Possible. Another thing is that with the treats, the dog can become more easily stressed. We have this training. A lot of dog trainers uh, recommend when you have a dog who is very stressed, easily stressed on the lead, when meeting other dogs, and they become aggressive or stressed or whatever, pulling on the lead, barking. And the trainers say, let your dog sit and give it a treat when it's calm. This would be a reward for the dog that it's sitting calm. The problem is that this behavior is totally unnatural for a dog, and the learning effect is zero. The dog is highly stressed. The possibility that the dog really learns something is very low, and the idea from the human is it's not bad, and maybe it helps. Maybe there are dogs that really understand something, but when you have a very high reactive dog who's totally stressed, who maybe even won't take the treat, you don't really help yourself or your dog with this sort of training with treats. Just think, you're walking down the street and there are a few guys in your direction and they're coming towards you, and you don't feel very well. What would you normally do? You wouldn't stop uh, staying at the wall, eating a Snickers and waiting until they have passed your way. That you would change the direction, or go on the other side of the street to avoid any contact, and that's what dogs try to do. So yes, that's thing with training with treats. You have also the danger with shelter dogs that have been starved that in training with treats the stress is triggered and you have no learning effect because the dog is only stressed and focused on food and cannot think clearly about what you really want. Next point. Do not give anything from the table. Sure, there is a risk that the dog will start begging, but I see begging as a humanization. The dog just wants to get something, and that is perfectly normal. So when the dog got something from the table, for the dog, this is okay, and the next time he will ask if he could get some food too, because they social animals want share food. Um, my dogs get food from the table, but I have rules. I share food with my dogs with very firm rules, and therefore I have no stress at the table. When I eat, and when I'm ready, I can share the rest or whatever. Of course, you have always. It's important to have a look at your own dog individually, how it reacts, that your dog respects your rules, and if you want to do this, because you do not have to do anything, you can share food, but you do not have to share food. Another point, the alpha male and dominance theory. The dog only gets something after the human. One of my favorite points. Because this is completely senseless. It doesn't matter at all whether the dog eats before or after or at the same time as we do. The ranking order at the dinner table comes from the animals in captivity, where rescues had to be rescues too. Now, where resources had to be defended. In the wild, wolves are very social and share their food. The younger and older animals are taken care first. So it doesn't matter if your dog eats before or after you. It doesn't have any impact on your leadership quality. Another senseless point in my eyes is leave the dog sitting in front of the bowl until the command comes that the dog is allowed to eat. I don't get it. What's the point? It's antisocial and pure power play. It has nothing to do with training or sovereignty. It does not embody any leadership qualities for the dog. It just doesn't make any sense to the dog. The human feels great because he is in control of his dog. The dog submits because he doesn't know any better or to avoid stress. But it has absolutely no meaningful learning effect or impact on leadership quality. I've never seen a dog who asks another dog to wait in front of the bowl. It's, I mean, again, you can do it, but it has not really an effect. Maybe if you have several dogs, 2, 3, 5, 10 dogs, and you want them to eat at the same time. Because if you have 5 dogs, I mean, I have 8 dogs. I start with one bowl, and until I'm finished, the first 3 bowls are empty. And it's possible that then the dogs start to run around and want to get something from the other bowls. So in this case, it makes sense. But it doesn't have a leadership or learning effect for your dog. Now the next point on top, taking the dog's full bowl away again. Another demonstration of human power. Why? What's the point? The dog is stressed, and that's all. The human feels great because he can bully his dog. The dog learns that humans are unpredictable and arbitrary. This behavior makes no sense from the dog's point of view. But it is perfectly acceptable to teach the dog that you can take something away from him. It's important that you can take away whatever, a toy, or the dog finds something on the walk that it shall not eat, or at home. They have to. We have to be able to take things away from our dogs. But why the food bowl? I mean, the full food bowl, the food bowl that we just put in front of our dogs to demonstrate our power. Um, at the food bowl that we just have put in front of the dog makes no sense. We control our dogs from morning to night. We control when they are allowed to eat and what they are allowed to eat. And then we take it away from them again. This is senseless and with no training effect. It doesn't make sense. If you want to train your dog that you are allowed or able to take things away, your dog is chewing or stealing or eating, you can do this. But I would never do this with the food ball I just gave him, especially shelter dogs, street dogs that have starved. This is totally stress for them and not necessary. So the next great point is food bags, the dummy bags. And I mean the entire food ration, not the dummy training. Dummy training is something different. I was once in a dog school with my very scared border collie, and I was told to work with this food bag, with this dummy bag. That's just the scam of this trainer. First problem, I have a border collie, and the border collie is a herding dog. It reacts to movement. But retrieving is not part of his natural repertoire at all. He was just watching me and said, what the fuck? What the hell shall I do here? It is extremely stressful for the dog. Think about it. You have to do some nonsense for every bite, and then you are given food at random and taken away again. This causes extremely stress and makes you feel insecure, dependent, and helpless. It's not exactly good for the stomach and digestion either. And this does not apply to targeted dummy training, but to feeding exclusively in exchange for performance from the bag. Humans as the alpha animal. There are so many ways to train or educate dogs that are better when you have a dog who needs a bit more support in behavior or respecting you. Because food is essential. It's food is something that triggers us humans too, because our system knows. I mean, we wouldn't have all these health problems caused by food and overeating if food wouldn't be wouldn't have such an important impact on our life, physical and psychical. And I would try to avoid food in any way of training and in a way of pressure or dominance or power about the dog. So next point, dry food or wet food or barf, raw food. Your dog has to like it and it has to agree with him. Full stop. There are countless options for additional food, either homemade or mixed. Your dog has to eat it, and he has to be healthy. Allergies became an important issue, and there is an increasing number of special foods available for dogs with food intolerances. This means that kangaroo or crocodile may end up in your dog's bowl. This is not only the fault of the dog, even though many dogs suffer from the consequences of poor breeding. However, we have hardly any natural food sources left today. Pesticides, fungicides, plastic, all of this has long been found in all plants, in water, and also in livestock or fish used for food. And then, on top, there are the parasite products, deworming products, and tablets against ticks, mites, and fleas containing pesticides. Humans should not even touch this stuff with bare fingers, but dogs shall eat it. This stuff upsets the stomach and damages it over time, and the parasites become immune. Yes, but the hysterical fear of ticks is probably greater for many than the well being of their dog. And I really live in the middle of a tick stronghold. Thanks to climate change, we have to deal with these little critters all year round. Now let's have a look at the shelter dog. As I already said, please keep in mind that your dog may have gone hungry. Most of my shelter dogs were all severely emaciated when they came to me. Using food as a form of pressure or as a training tool for these dogs is simply not fair. The dog is only stressed and has no real chance to learn anything because the food triggers his fear to starve. Here, food really is used to build a relationship and to gain trust. Your dog will not become dominant if he eats before you eat or if you give him some food from your table. I was traveling with my dog, my first dog, in the mountains, and it was just the two of us, and we were eating together at the fireplace, same food. We were sleeping together on the floor. He was never dominant. He was protective. He was my best friend. So if your dog starts to make demands and become cheeky, it is just a test at first, and that's allowed. If you have children, they do the same. You have the option to change the rules at any time. It is not that you are not allowed to do things. I just want you to know about the circumstances, about the relation, and about the background. What is important is that your dog is doing well, that he is healthy and tolerates the food well. Coats, eyes, breath, vitality, and feces, all these are indicators of a state of health. Most expensive and best food won't help you at all if your dog can't tolerate it. Thank you for your attention. That's from me for today. As always, I will put the form for anonymous questions in the description. And I wish you and your dog all the best and hope to see you or hear you again next time. Bye.